The stars had always been silent witnesses to humanity's rise. In the darkness of space, scattered among constellations like shards of glass, ships glided with purpose, carrying the fragile weight of Earth's legacy. Humans, with nothing but ingenuity and stubborn will, had reached farther than any of their ancestors could have imagined. Yet, the universe had a way of reminding them how small they truly were. The first sign came not as an attack, but as a ripple in communication signals. A transmission, sharp and alien, brushed against the outer colonies. Its cadence was precise, unnervingly so, as if each pulse carried a hidden understanding of physics humans had yet to comprehend. No words could translate it, no code could interpret it. The message was not meant for human ears, yet it had found them. On the orbital station circling Proxima b, Dr. Lena Orloff stood before the observation deck, her breath fogging the glass. Beyond the reinforced panes, the nebula shimmered like molten crystal. The humans there were not soldiers, they were scientists, engineers, dreamers. And yet, in that quiet awe, a spark of defiance burned. Humans had always reached for what seemed unreachable, and now, facing the unknown, their resolve would not falter. The first encounter was sudden. A flash of light, faster than any human sensor could track, sliced through the black. Ships from the alien fleet, organic, asymmetrical, yet terrifyingly elegant, appeared in orbit, surrounding a mining colony like predators circling prey. Panic should have taken hold. It did not. Humanity's instinct was not just survival, it was to respond. Command centers that had once coordinated mundane logistics now became theaters of improvisation and genius. Engineers rerouted power through untested circuits, pilots executed maneuvers that bent conventional physics, and civilians turned technicians and strategists overnight. Humanity's strength was not in sheer force, but in the audacity to act where no blueprint existed. Every decision carried risk, every choice could be the difference between annihilation and the flicker of hope. The alien ships tested them, probing with pulses of energy that could disintegrate metals at the molecular level. Yet humans adapted. Shields once theoretical became reality through frantic ingenuity, and weapons designed for debris defense became instruments of precision counterattack. Each strike was small, almost insignificant in cosmic terms, yet it carried the undeniable weight of human intent. They did not flinch. They would not surrender. Amid the chaos, quiet moments emerged. In the shadow of devastation, Lena watched as a young engineer traced the arc of alien energy across the void. "We can see them," she whispered, almost to herself, "and now, they can see us." In that brief pause, the enormity of their position crystallized. Humanity was no longer merely surviving, it was asserting its presence, demanding recognition in a universe that had never needed to notice them before. As night fell across the colonies, lights blinked in defiance against the alien shadow. Every human voice, every heartbeat, became part of a symphony that refused to be silenced. They were untrained in war, unshaped by the cosmic hierarchies that had mastered galaxies, yet they possessed a raw, unyielding will. The universe had not meant to include them, and yet, the humans answered. Time stretched. Days and nights blurred as strategies evolved faster than thought. Humanity discovered weaknesses not through brute force, but through observation, curiosity, and a kind of stubborn morality that the aliens could not anticipate. They exploited errors in timing, in judgment, in the alien perception of causality. Humanity's defiance was not loud, it was precise, unrelenting, and profoundly human, and in the quiet moments, when the guns paused and the ships drifted in silent standoff, humans dared to imagine victory. They imagined worlds unbound by alien dominion, futures reclaimed by courage and intellect, a civilization that would not vanish quietly into the cosmic night. In that defiance, there was poetry, there was hope, and above all, there was the unmistakable claim of humanity: we will not yield. The first wave of human ingenuity had only just begun. Somewhere, far beyond the nebulae and drifting comets, the alien commanders recalculated. They had underestimated these creatures, these fragile, stubborn, brilliant humans. And as their calculations twisted into disbelief, the humans prepared their next move. Humanity did not roar, it observed. It adapted. It persisted. And in the dark, glittering expanse of space, a new kind of power was emerging, quiet, relentless, unmistakably human. The universe had not called for them, but humanity had answered. The void of space held its breath as humanity's response unfolded. The alien fleet, vast and alien in geometry, had assumed superiority. That their incomprehensible technology and countless ships would render humans negligible. They had not accounted for the essence of humanity, the defiance woven into every heartbeat, the brilliance sparked by desperation, the audacity to challenge what should have been impossible. In the orbital corridors of the Lunar Command Station, commanders and engineers worked side by side, their hands moving over consoles, rewiring circuits, recalibrating sensors, bending machines beyond their intended limits. Every bolt tightened, every algorithm rewritten, was a testament to human ingenuity. The station itself became more than metal and glass, it became an organism, alive with determination and calculated improvisation. The first offensive maneuver was subtle. A single reconnaissance probe, unassuming and nearly invisible, slipped through the gaps in the alien formation. It was designed to observe, to learn, not to fight. And yet, in its tiny sensors, the alien strategy began to unravel. Humans watched and learned in real time, decoding movement patterns, energy signatures, and the rhythm of alien decision-making. Knowledge became their weapon, precision their armor, then came the strike. Not with the roar of armies, but with the silent, surgical grace of human timing. A mining satellite, retrofitted with improvised propulsion and energy pulses, zipped through the alien formation. One ship faltered. Then another, caught in the unseen trap of human cunning. The aliens recoiled, recalculating, unable to anticipate this level of adaptive intelligence. For every overwhelming technological advantage they possessed, humans countered with unpredictability, courage, and moral clarity. On Mars, civilians became architects of war. Engineers who had once designed irrigation systems now recalibrated defense drones, students who had studied quantum mechanics now synchronized fleets of atmospheric interceptors. Across dusty plains and in subterranean bunkers, humanity's creativity became a force of nature. Every failure birthed innovation, every setback revealed opportunity. There was rhythm in chaos. A choreography forged from necessity and human pride. The aliens attempted psychological warfare, projecting illusions of annihilation, manipulating holographic landscapes to induce fear. Yet humans observed, laughed, and responded. Their fear was not absent, but it was disciplined, focused, a tool rather than a weakness. In the face of incomprehensible cosmic power, humans did not crumble, they adapted, exploited, and persisted. Amid the tension, the quiet moments sharpened resolve. Soldiers and scientists alike looked out into the alien void, seeing not just enemies, but reflections of themselves, resilient, defiant, alive. Lena Orloff, standing on the observation deck, traced her fingers across the viewport as if writing on the stars themselves. The aliens were precise, methodical, unstoppable to any being that accepted defeat. Humanity, however, refused to accept it. That refusal became the pulse of every maneuver, every counterstrike, every gambit. The alien fleets, vast as they were, began to fracture under human ingenuity. Communications jammed, energy shields destabilized, formations misaligned. The humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability in war against creatures who calculated everything was lethal. Humanity's smallest victories rippled outward, inspiring resistance across the scattered colonies. Word of these triumphs traveled faster than light, a network of courage and knowledge connecting isolated pockets of defiance into a single, coherent force. It was not just a battle of weapons, but of will, of intellect, of morality. Humans targeted systems with precision, sparing life wherever possible. Where the aliens destroyed without thought, humans countered with intent. Every move carried meaning, every strike a statement: we are here. We will endure. "We will prevail." As the first human squadrons prepared for the next engagement, the stars themselves seemed to pulse with anticipation. Ships lined up like sentinels of a new dawn, engines humming with controlled power, weapon systems optimized for both efficiency and ingenuity. Humanity had learned to bend the universe to their perception, not by brute force, but by daring to understand what the aliens could not comprehend, the depth of human spirit. And in that understanding, the tide began to shift. Alien commanders watched as their perfect calculations faltered, as human unpredictability carved openings in defenses meant to be impenetrable. The cosmos, vast and indifferent, had never demanded humans fight, yet here they were, not just fighting, but excelling beyond expectation. The battle was far from over. Waves of alien ships pressed forward, relentless and precise. But humanity had discovered its own rhythm within the chaos. Every move was a question the aliens could not answer, every maneuver a challenge to cosmic authority. With each passing hour, humans proved they were more than fragile creatures of dust and water, they were architects of defiance. Engineers of hope, masters of adaptation, the universe had thought to overlook them. Instead, it had awakened a force no calculation could predict, a human armada that would answer every call, defy every expectation, and etch their existence into the stars themselves. The alien fleet surged through the void like a living shadow, a river of darkness that seemed to stretch beyond sight. Each vessel pulsed with energy that defied human comprehension, a language of power written in light and magnetic fields. Yet, for all their precision and might, they could not predict the human's response, the spark of defiance that had turned desperation into strategy. Humanity was no longer reacting. It was orchestrating, shaping the battlefield with intuition and intellect. Across the colonies, humanity's armada had grown. Ships of every design, salvaged, retrofitted, and invented in the span of months, moved with synchronicity that bordered on poetry. Engineers aboard the flagship recalibrated weapons in real time, pilots executed maneuvers that bent conventional physics, and analysts fed data into predictive models that relied not on perfect knowledge but on the chaotic brilliance of human reasoning. Every ship, every mind, every heartbeat contributed to a single, unstoppable rhythm. The first human offensive struck the alien vanguard with surgical precision. Drones carrying pulse disruptors darted through gaps in alien shields, detonating with flashes of light that shimmered like miniature supernovae. Alien vessels staggered, their formation unraveling as humans exploited microflaws, unanticipated by even the most advanced algorithms. For every alien ship destroyed, humanity's resolve only hardened, every victory a note in a symphony of defiance. On the ground of Titan, civilians watched the war unfold in the sky. Children pressed their faces to the reinforced windows of habitats, engineers calculated trajectories of improvised artillery, and scientists monitored quantum fields to predict alien energy fluctuations. Humanity's fight was not just in space, it was in every laboratory, every workshop, every mind willing to bend intellect to survival. Even in the darkest corners, courage blazed, proving that the human spirit was as expansive as the universe itself. The alien struck back with ferocity, sending waves of energy that shredded the emptiness between stars. Ships were vaporized, colonies scorched, and communication networks disrupted. Yet humans endured. Shields that had seemed theoretical now held, engines that were barely tested powered through impossible maneuvers, and pilots moved with a grace that turned desperation into artistry. Humanity had transformed into something beyond fragile flesh and metal, a force defined by creativity, resilience, and moral clarity. Amid the chaos, Lena Orloff observed the battle from the flagship's observation deck. She saw the precise way human squadrons anticipated alien movement, the improvisation of engineers recalculating in real time, and the courage of soldiers defying fear to protect what was left. Humanity was not perfect. It was raw, it was messy, it was vulnerable, but it was alive, brilliantly alive, and unyielding. The turning point came with the human counterstrike. A fleet of small, seemingly insignificant vessels, camouflaged against the void, slipped through the fractured alien formation. Each carried a payload designed not just to destroy, but to destabilize alien systems, exploiting patterns the invaders could not anticipate. One by one, alien vessels faltered, energy flows collapsed, and formations broke. It was not the size of the strike, but the brilliance of its design that defined its success. Humans had learned to fight not as the weak, but as the unpredictable, and unpredictability was lethal. Even in moments of triumph, humanity did not exult in destruction. On the colonies, engineers repaired, scientists recalibrated, and survivors tended to the wounded. Morality guided their hands, intellect guided their decisions, and defiance guided their spirits. Humans had become both the hammer and the shield, the force and the conscience of the cosmos, proving that courage could coexist with compassion, and strategy with empathy. The alien commanders, faced with losses that defied probability, began to adapt. Their once unquestioned authority over battle was shaken by a species that refused to submit. For every strategy they employed, humans devised a counter, not with mere reaction, but with creativity that could not be predicted by any logic designed for efficiency. Humanity's strength was not in weapons alone, but in ingenuity, moral clarity, and relentless determination. In the quiet between volleys, humans reflected on what they were building, not just victory, but legacy. Across shattered colonies and star-swept battlefields, they whispered to one another in the silence of calms, sharing knowledge, hope, and unspoken pride. They were defining themselves in the face of annihilation. Not as victims of the universe, but as architects of their own destiny. The battle raged on, epic in scope and relentless in intensity. And yet, humanity persisted, not as a single entity, but as a chorus of minds and hearts, united by the most elemental truth: they would not be erased. Every flash of light, every maneuver through the void, every calculated risk carried one message to the cosmos: humans were here, and they refused to bow. From the observation deck, Lena watched the stars ripple with energy from distant explosions. She felt the pulse of humanity thrumming in every ship, every station, every mind committed to this fight. The universe had underestimated them, miscalculated them, ignored them. And now, humanity's presence could not be denied. The war was far from over, but in every calculation, every strike, every act of courage, humans were proving something older than technology, older than strategy, older than even the stars themselves. They were alive, brilliant, and unbroken. The universe had tried to ignore humanity, but humanity had become impossible to overlook. The alien fleet recoiled as humans pressed forward, each maneuver sharper, faster, and more daring than before. Ships darted through gaps in the void, turning weakness into advantage, improvisation into triumph. Humans did not merely fight, they reshaped the battlefield, bending the rules of engagement with instinct and intellect. On the surface of Mars, engineers launched orbital interceptors with precision that defied expectation. Every strike, every evasive move, was calculated in the moment, unbound by preconceptions. Alien attacks met resistance not through force alone, but through ingenuity, as humans exploited the tiniest miscalculations. In the quiet moments, the human crews reflected on their defiance. They were fragile in flesh, yet unstoppable in spirit. Every pulse of energy, every flash across the void, carried the message: humanity would not yield. The stars themselves seemed to acknowledge it, sparkling in witness to stubborn brilliance. The aliens struck, but humans adapted. They turned fear into strategy, chaos into rhythm, and near-impossible odds into a proving ground for courage. For the first time, the invaders recognized that their calculations could not contain the unpredictability of human will. Every act of defiance, every measured counter, reverberated across colonies and fleets alike. Humanity had become more than survival. They were a force of precision, intellect, and unwavering pride. The cosmos had expected silence, obedience, and surrender. Instead, it was met with the undeniable echo of human tenacity. In the expanse of space, in the heart of every ship, the same truth resonated: humanity had not come to beg for existence, they had come to claim it. The war escalated into a symphony of chaos and brilliance. Across the void, human fleets weaved through alien formations with precision that seemed impossible, turning desperation into artistry. Ships that had once carried miners, researchers, and civilians now moved as extensions of a single, relentless mind, humanity itself. Every maneuver, every volley of energy, was a calculated assertion of existence, a refusal to be erased from the stars. In the shadow of Jupiter, the largest human armada yet assembled took position. It was a collection of retrofitted freighters, experimental fighters, orbital stations, and commandeered alien technology. Each vessel carried a purpose beyond survival, to challenge, to endure, and to demonstrate the unyielding ingenuity of their creators. Engineers monitored energy flows, pilots executed impossible trajectories, and strategists adapted to alien responses faster than thought itself could travel. The aliens responded with overwhelming force, sending waves of ships that shimmered like black fire against the cosmic backdrop. Beams of destructive energy arced across the void, obliterating everything in their path. Yet humanity did not falter. Shields held, engines maneuvered, and counterattacks struck with surgical precision. They exploited every flaw, every hesitation, every misjudgment, not with brute force, but with intellect honed under the pressure of extinction. Lena Orloff observed from the command flagship, her eyes tracing the web of conflict like a conductor reading a symphony. Each human move was unpredictable, each strategy adaptive. The aliens had calculated every known variable, but they had not anticipated creativity born of necessity. Humans turned desperation into invention, energy siphons became weapons, cargo drones became precision assault units, and ordinary satellites became instruments of tactical deception. On Titan, human ingenuity flourished even in the shadows. Scientists adapted quantum communications to coordinate fleets faster than the aliens' perception, civilians devised shields and armor from scavenged materials, and soldiers piloted experimental craft that performed maneuvers once considered impossible. Humanity's strength was not merely in numbers or firepower, it was in intelligence. Adaptability, and the relentless courage to defy extinction, alien commanders began to falter. Their formations, once impeccable, twisted and broke under the pressure of human unpredictability. Energy conduits overloaded, defensive shields failed, and ship after ship fell, not to overwhelming force, but to human insight, timing, and audacity. Every success, however small, was a statement. Humans were not pawns in the cosmos, they were architects of their own fate. Amid the chaos, quiet moments persisted. Crews repaired, recalibrated, and reflected. Humanity's battles were not only physical, they were moral. Where the aliens struck without thought, humans acted with intention. Preserving life where possible, choosing precision over destruction. Their defiance was as much ethical as tactical, a testament to the depth of their species, and a warning that survival alone would not define them, they would define themselves. The climax of the engagement came as the human armada executed a maneuver that had never been attempted, a coordinated strike through multiple points of alien weakness simultaneously, leveraging every insight gained from prior encounters. Ships disappeared into the void, only to emerge at precise angles, delivering energy pulses that fractured alien shields and caused systemic failures across their fleet. Alien vessels faltered, formations collapsed. And for the first time, the invaders hesitated. Victory, however, was not absolute. Humanity had suffered losses, scarred fleets, and shattered colonies. Yet even in the wreckage, pride and defiance blazed brighter than the stars themselves. Every human survived by intellect, by courage, by the indomitable will to endure. The universe had sought to ignore them, to bypass them, to eradicate them without notice. Humanity had not only survived, it had imposed itself upon the cosmos with the clarity of intellect and the force of spirit. Lena stood on the bridge as the alien fleet began to retreat, their movements cautious, recalculating, uncertain. Across the void, the remnants of human fleets pulsed with quiet triumph. Humanity had proven that intelligence, adaptability, and moral resolve could triumph over forces that dwarfed them in scale and power. Every spark of victory was a promise, a declaration. Humanity would not vanish quietly into the void. and in the silence between battles, across the shimmering expanse of stars, a simple truth resonated: the universe had underestimated humanity. They had assumed fragility, obedience, and surrender. Instead, they found cunning, courage, and the unshakable conviction that humanity would answer every challenge, every call, every threat, with brilliance, with defiance, and with the pride of those who refused to yield. The galaxy had sought to ignore them. Humanity had become impossible to overlook. The alien fleet withdrew, fractured and uncertain, but the war was far from over. Humanity's armada held its formation, engines humming with readiness, minds sharpened by countless trials. Every ship, every crew, carried the weight of a species refusing erasure. Across the colonies, humans repaired, rebuilt, and adapted. Every loss had taught a lesson, every failure birthed innovation. The universe had underestimated them, but humans had shown that intellect, courage, and moral resolve could bend even the vastest forces. Lena Orloff watched the stars shimmer with distant explosions and quiet victories alike. Humanity had not merely survived, it had defied expectation. Carved its presence into the cosmos, and demanded recognition. The alien commanders recalculated, unsure how to predict a species that learned faster than it could destroy. The void was still, but it pulsed with human tenacity. Ships drifted in silent vigilance, fleets ready, minds alert. Humanity had become a force that could not be ignored, a testament to ingenuity, pride, and unyielding spirit, and as the stars stretched on endlessly, a single truth resonated across the cosmos: humanity had answered the call.